The Pirate Bay was founded in 2003. This would be the next most infamous site for file sharing. The Pirate Bay is a website that allows users to search for torrents in 5 categories. The site also claims to be the world's largest torrent tracker. It was originally created by members of the Swedish anti-copyright organization. Unlike Napster and Kazaa, the Pirate Bay is out making a statement in favor of piracy. Rather than putting up a weak fight and giving in to the industry's demand, the Pirate Bay has survived and continues to fight through several legal battles and attacks. The first attack came on May 31st, 2006, when Swedish police raided the site's servers hosted in Stockholm. The MPAA viewed the raid as a success, and the Pirate Bay was shut down for 3 days. Unfortunately for the MPAA and other anti-piracy groups, the publicity created by the raid caused the site users to almost double. Although the site was up and running again, prosecutors were using the information found in the raid to build a case against the Pirate Bay. While prosecutors were building their case, other groups were attacking the Pirate Bay through hacking. A plan to hack into the Pirate Bay servers by a group called Media Defender was leaked to the public. It was also leaked that the MPAA was behind the planned attack on the Pirate Bay's servers. The Pirate Bay filed charges against a large amount of Media Defender's clients that produced the same intellectual property that Pirate Bay allowed its users to download illegally. The charges were never pursued by the Swedish police, but yet again the Pirate Bay scored a victory by bringing bad publicity and financial losses to Media Defenders Group and the MPAA. However, the Pirate Bay's victories were short-lived. In September 2007, a torrent of the preliminary investigation into a child murder case found its way onto the Pirate Bay's files. The torrent included photos of the autopsy of the 2 murdered children. The father of the children asked for the torrent to be removed. The Pirate Bay refused. After the publicity, the torrent's downloads skyrocketed. Although there was more traffic to the site, the Pirate Bay took a publicity hit. The next set of torrents that got the site into trouble revolved around the 2008 Summer Olympics. The International Olympic Committee, based out of Sweden, asked for help from the Swedish authorities to take the torrents off the site. Instead of taking the opening ceremonies off the site, Pirate Bay instead virtually slapped the IOC and the authorities in the face by temporarily changing their name to the Beijing Bay. The MPAA, the RIAA, Swedish authorities, and even the IOC could not bring down the Pirate Bay on their own. It took a lawsuit filed by the International Federation of Phonographic Industry, a worldwide organization protecting the interests of international recording artists. On January 31st, 2008, in conjunction with the lawsuit, criminal charges were filed against the 4 main members of the Pirate Bay. The charges brought up against the 4 men were administering, hosting, and developing a site that facilitated other people's breach of copyright law. The trial began on February 16, 2009. The defense put on a good show early on. They began by trying to defer the blame from Pirate Bay to its users. Although the 4 defendants had a part in creating the website, they cannot control how the site is used and what files are shared on the website. This defense led to half of the charges being dropped in after just a day and a half of the trial. The charges dropped were all related to assisting copyright infringement. What was left was assisting making available copyrighted materials. The difference between the 2 charges was how directly the site is involved in copyright infringement. Assisting in copyright infringement refers to the site having a direct hand in its users committing copyright infringement, whereas assisting in making available could be looked at as locking the door but leaving the window open for pirates. The defense also used what became an internet blogosphere sensation in the King Kong defense. The defense lawyer was referring to an actual Pirate Bay member whose username was King Kong. The defense was that for Pirate Bay to be held responsible, they would have to have direct contact with the member named King Kong and any other member that would participate in illegal downloading and uploading of pirated material. Without direct contact, there is no way that they could have encouraged or prevented user King Kong from posting illegal torrents. Next, the prosecution began making major mistakes in the way they presented their evidence. They were introducing evidence that had not been available to the defense. This evidence was eventually thrown out, another victory for the defense. However, all of these victories were not enough to bring home a win for the defense. On April 17, 2009, the Pirate Bay lost their case. The four defendants were each sentenced to a year in jail and fined a combined $3.5 million. They were found to be accessories to copyright infringement. Appeals were made based on bias claims against the main investigator in the case. It was claimed that the investigator was working for one of the plaintiffs prior to starting the investigation. Since the investigator was working for the plaintiff, it would have been in their best interest to find evidence in favor of the prosecution. There was also a claim against the judge for bias, since he belonged to an anti-piracy group. Both cases were unfounded, and a retrial was denied. The group has not yet begun their sentence and will not have to begin their sentence until all appeals have been exhausted. But in all this, there was some positives for the Pirate Bay group. Their political party gained over 25,000 members in just 10 days after the verdict was read. This more than doubled the number of the Swedish Pirate Party. And even though several sites voluntarily closed due to the verdict, the Pirate Bay remains open and up and running. The International Federation of Phonographic Industry requested that the internet service providers block the site, but since it was not part of the court ruling, the ISP did not agree to do so. This case is currently the biggest case against internet piracy to date. As it continues to evolve, so too will society's views on illegal downloads. It will be interesting to follow as the case continues to unfold. As the case stands, this is the biggest blow to international internet piracy to date.